those early calls from the Coxes. Kate Theobald of Surbiton High School and Alexandra Williams of Melbourne Girls Grammar School getting their crews off. Difficult time to start, you know, you've got to keep your crews switched on, you've got to keep them focused in, and we can see there that crew from Melbourne, and they have an extremely aggressive style there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't come halfway around the planet to race without feeling that you've got a good shot at this, and really punchy start from the young women from Melbourne. Great to see the two Coxes, both 17 years of age. Quite a fearsome thing to do, to steer such a powerful craft along the river, but this has the makings of a great race.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, that style from Melbourne, similar in fact to one of the other Australian schools that we saw, St Catherine's. Very, very aggressive. You know, this is a style that you don't see from many men's eights, let alone women's eights. Yeah.
That's right. And then let's have a look at the Surbiton crew here as well, because they had a class row at Henley last year, and they've got a slightly different style, haven't they? Maybe a little bit more stretched out. But look at that. There's a photograph, there's a picture that tells you about focus. Absolute focus through the crew, completely focused on the process of the stroke, staying in their own boat, rowing their own race, not getting phased by what's going on ahead of them. So what will the Coxes be saying here, Zoe?
I mean, I think for me at this part of the race, you're just about coming off the ferocity of that start, and you're looking to push out onto a really sustainable mid-race pace. And this is often a really difficult time for crews, because a lot of crews talk about a settle. You know, you've had a high rate at the start and you settle onto a rhythm, but I don't like that personally. You know, I want to push onto rhythm. A settle is dangerous. You might lose all your speed at that point.
I think you're absolutely right. There's something about the words that a Cox chooses to use that are so important. A settle implying a sort of relaxation into something less effortful, but actually what you want to do is rise up into your rhythm. And here we look at the Surbiton. I love the S's on the blades. They're really distinctive. The Surbiton crew here, there's, well, some effort going in now on the face of Charlotte Hubbard, sitting in the stroke seat there. And behind her, Sophie Rankin. Stroke and 7 key seats in an 8. They set the length, they set the rhythm for both sides of the crew, don't they?
Yeah, and you've got to be really stubborn, because ultimately you're still slightly at the mercy of the 6 men or women sitting behind you. You know, if they want to do something to change the pace, then that's a lot of people fighting behind you. So you've got to be stubborn in your rhythm, stubborn in your stroke. Yeah,
and I mean, I've had that experience of sitting in the stern. If you've got a crew behind you, it feels like you can press your foot on the accelerator and away it goes. If you've got people who are doing some slightly different things, you sometimes feel like you've got a train that's coming behind you and not allowing you to control it, and it can be difficult. So here we are looking at the faces of the Melbourne Girls Grammar School here. Really focused. Let's just look a little bit at the style here. You can see something of that. So you've got really sort of very compressed legs at the front end of the stroke, haven't you? And then quite a dynamic body movement.
Yeah, it's quite a sort of back-ended stroke, as we'd say. So there's a lot of work going on at the last part of the stroke, just before they take their blades out of the water. But as you look down the crew, you can see how well synchronized their legs are. They're really just pressing down to the deck of the boat together. That's what is moving them along here ahead of this crew from Surbiton High.
Yeah, it's the leg drive, isn't it, which is where the power is for athletes, men or women, and that's certainly what they're trying to push down through the Melbourne crew. Still a really close race, a great race as we're coming up towards the halfway mark here. That's what we call the falling marker, halfway down 2,112 metres, and I think exactly now where they are, that's exactly the halfway point. It's quite hard on these tracks. We don't have evenly spaced markers, and one of the things for the less Henley experienced crews is to know where you are. But I think, well, it's absolutely neck and neck. What a cracker.
Yeah, I think to know where you are, and also to be prepared for that last 112 metres, which can really take crews by surprise, especially as we're rowing upstream as well, so slower races than you expect from your average 2K. But I don't know, I think Surbiton have pushed themselves back here. You know, it's difficult to slightly see on this angle, but I think, you know, I think they're making this difficult now. They look like they're raising that rate up again.
And just picking up what you were saying, Zoe, you know, there are 5 young women in that Surbiton 8 who raced here last year, so effectively surprising everybody as they push their way through the draw. And I think they're moving back, and they're moving back. It's maybe a few centimetres for each stroke. Is absolutely critical now for Melbourne to respond. Coming back through a crew that's been down on you, that's very, very difficult psychologically.
This is a fantastic race now from Surbiton, and it might just be that efficiency, that slightly smoother style that they had over that aggression from Melbourne has just paid off now. As we go past Remenham Club and we move down towards the enclosures, maybe that little bit of efficiency has just paid off for them.
I I think you're absolutely right. So here we are with Surbiton, and you can see the contrast. They've still got the focus we picked out at the start. You can hear a little bit of a call of encouragement there from Madeline Greenstock in the 5 seat. You can see her calling out to her crewmates, come on, we're moving. And if you're in the 8 here, you can feel yourself moving. You want to encourage your crew to try to lift them, and that's exactly what Cox Kate Theobald will be calling out right now.
This is a great feeling as you come up into the enclosures. We can already hear cheers from the crowds on the bank. Is that momentum now with Surbiton still? But look at Melbourne. They are piling on the pressure here. They've raised the rate again. They are attacking to get back on terms with this crew from Surbiton.
I mean, you really couldn't call it. Contrasting styles from opposite sides of the planet. It looks like Surbiton have moved maybe a quarter of length through from being down to being marginally ahead. And well, that's really hard to respond to if the momentum's with Surbiton. How are you going to encourage Melbourne to get back on terms? They've got to regroup and they've got to go again.
An absolutely brilliant race once again in the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy for Junior Women's 8s. If you are in the Stewards enclosure, get down right now and cheer on these crews as they come up towards the finish line. Fantastic racing here from all these young women.
There we go, that's absolute determination from Charlotte Hubbard, Sophie Rankin, Izzy Kennedy, Madeline Greenstock, Rasheen Starkey, Emily Shaw, Megan Johnson and Claudia Alexander in the bow seat under the command of Kate Theobald, telling these young women they've got it, they've got to keep moving, they can't let Melbourne come back. And there's the aggressive style of the Melbourne crew of the right of our picture, attacking for all their worth.
Fantastic race from Surbiton. To be honest, I thought they were out of this early on in the race. They have put themselves right back in there. They have given themselves something to do at the beginning, but they've set a pace that Melbourne cannot stand.
Well, that is a very, very impressive and mature race from the young women from Surbiton High School, and mature coxing too from Alexandra Williams gave them the confidence from being down to be able to row back through Melbourne, but Melbourne are not giving up, right to the line, determination.
Brilliant racing there from both crews. Just a stunning performance there from Surbiton. You know, not a well-known rowing school up until the last few years, but they have had a massive turnaround, and you can see from the looks on their faces, they have done a huge job there to get through that crew from Melbourne.
Well, admiration for both crews, for each other. Great race there. Congratulations to Surbiton beating Melbourne, and in the newly named Prince Philip Challenge Cup, we have some of the best racing of the regatta so far. Congratulations to both crews. Drained by that race, rightly so. It's rowing at its absolute best.